So in conclusion, that's kind of why I think it's a little bit immoral to be sexually attracted to horses.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for clicking on the video and joining us for the first episode of the Lord of the Rings rewatch. Today, we have a guest. Nathaniel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Nathaniel. I've appeared on another podcast that you may have heard of, such as Reading Diary from Wimpy Kid Fanfic. That's my only other appearance, but I'm here today.
I like to think of this as like we're on Pawn Stars and we bring in our resident expert. You know, like I'm Rick Harrison, you're Chumley.
Yeah, just because I'm big.
It's because, you know.
It's because of your beard.
I mean, look at you.
No, it's because I'm fat.
And then Nathaniel would be our guy with the hat. Because Nathaniel knows things about Lord of the Rings. He actually brought a little surprise guest with us today.
The Silmarillion. It's the Silmarillion. It's like the history of the Lord of the Rings world. From the mind of J.R.R. Tolkien, author of Lord of the Rings, edited by his son, Christopher.
He's dead.
Who died earlier this year.
So many Lord of the Rings deaths have been happening this year. Nathaniel actually informed us that the guy who played Bilbo died, yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday or the day before. Sir Ian Holm.
Guys, look. Everyone look.
I'll go behind the camera.
Everyone look. See, look at this. It's my sword. I gotta crouch. This is my sword. I don't know if you see this, guys. It's my sword. It's from Lord of the Rings. It's my sword. If you're an audio listener, just picture a sword. That's kind of what it is. it's a sword. It's supposed to be Anduril from Lord of the Rings, and that's really what it's supposed to be. But it's kind of smaller. It's a downside Anduril sword, and I did the Elvish myself. Don't ask me what it says. I won't tell you. And let's get into the actual podcast.
So that's what the Elvish means on there?
Yeah, no, it's actually pretty funny, but you know,
Gotta keep it a secret.
gotta keep it a secret. Gotta keep the lore hidden.
So let's dive right in with our normal start of a podcast, the plot summary.
Nathaniel, you wanna take this one because you know you're our guest. You can try it.
Oh, yeah. So, the movie obviously we're going over this time is the first one, The Fellowship of the Ring. And, really, it's not, right to split up the movie or even, the book itself into 3 books or 3 movies. But for the sake of time, you kind of have to. Otherwise, you'd be watching for 12 hours, which would be quite the marathon.
Yeah, these movies are ungodly long.
So kind of just to sum up the first one, the movie deviates from the book. The book has a lot more at the beginning, and the movie kind of cuts out a bunch. But basically, it begins in the Shire, the land of the hobbits. The hobbits, who are these little people who just farm and eat and drink beer and are happy. They're just good. They're just happy.
They got beautiful, massive, hairy feet.
That's right. They don't wear shoes.
Mm-mm.
Their feet are all the shoes they need.
Dude, so first off, to get on our first tangent here, talking about Hobbit feet, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that if they stepped on a rock it would hurt
No.
still? Or do you think that it's so calloused?
It's so calloused.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would have to be. Because, they probably are used to stepping on, softer ground than, a mountain. Because, the Shire is a very lush place. But you still would step on, rocks and twigs and stuff. So if it was really a problem, they would wear shoes.
Which is what I really don't understand about it. Because they're not that different from humans, right?
No, yeah.
They're just like little people with ginormous honkers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think if we never used shoes, our feet would be super calloused and we'd be able to walk anywhere with them.
Yeah, but take the scene when they're on the mountain range and they're walking in ankle deep snow.
Mm-hmm.
That's gotta be not good for you, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just part of the lore of the world that they're almost like a subspecies of men.
Mm-hmm.
So they just don't need shoes. They've just adapted over the course of thousands of years to not really need shoes.
That's I always picture when I first read these books, and I read them kind of like later, right? I started reading them my senior year of high school, which was actually last year. And when I first saw it, I remember like thinking to myself, like J.R.R. Tolkien is kind of like Dan Harmon, you know what I mean? Where it's like if Ariana Grande was playing one of the Hobbits, he was just like, you know what, Hobbits do not wear shoes. I want to see those feet all the time.
What the heck?
Have you not heard that with Dan Harmon?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, so Dan Harmon was the guy who did iCarly and Victorious and stuff. And he was notorious for making the actors not wear like shoes or socks and do like really weird stuff with their feet, like smother their feet with like peanut butter on set.
It's like the whole George Lucas thing, not letting Carrie Fisher wear underwear.
Oh yeah.
Do you not know that?
No.
He didn't let her wear underwear because you wouldn't wear underwear in space.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, I guess it's a nice addition because that's what Tolkien made in the book, but it's like still kind of gross to see because they look like they're pretty big feet compared to their bodies.
I wonder how like Hobbit biology like works. Like, why did they develop those big guys down there?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. It's like, it's really weird because like, even though like Tolkien could go through like all these weird things about his universe, and he has the book to do it. He like deliberately chooses to leave some things like, just completely random and mysterious.
Especially when they're not important, like feet.
Well, yeah. So like he he like gave a little bit about them in the Silmarillion. He said like there were 3 big like tribes or whatever. There was one tribe that really liked the mountains, one that really liked like the woods and fields, and one that really liked the rivers. But that was it. That was like the only like commentary on them. And then Smeagol was one of the ones who liked the rivers, and they're like the only ones who go fishing.
Oh, so wait, like in universe, like right now, or I shouldn't say right now, but like during the time of Lord of the Rings, there's actually other groups of hobbits that are living that are like we just don't see in the movies.
Yeah, I don't remember, because they kind of got pushed west,
Mm-hmm.
kind of with everyone in the universe. Like all the, men and elves and hobbits got pushed to the west. So like I think they've kind of all combined back into one. But yeah, like at the time of Smeagol, they were very distinct like groups, and like Smeagol was a very distinct like he's part of the, I don't know, like river tribe.
I wonder if that's what they're gonna do for the game.
Probably.
Like if they had warring tribes of hobbits.
Well, I don't know if they ever warred.
Well, I'm just saying, like game-wise, we know from past, right? The Shadow of Mordor games and what was it? The other one, the Shadow of War.
Mordor or War, yeah, both of those.
I mean, they're not necessarily lore friendly.
No, they're not. They're not like historically accurate with the canon. They bring some cool things in though. But yeah, no, I wonder how they'll do that. I do wonder, because like hobbits are like by design supposed to be like really boring and simple. So I wonder like what excitement they're going to bring in. But no, I mean there were some battles in like the Shire and stuff.
Yeah.
Like there was this. It was the way that they invented golf. They got attacked by I think goblins, and like this one heroic hobbit cut off the main goblin's head, or I know he hit it so hard that his head like flew off his shoulders, went like several, like dozens of yards and went into a rabbit hole, and that's how golf was invented in universe.
Okay, I really am a hobbit if they play golf.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Shire, there's like not a better place.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just think hobbits fit me. Fat, feeted, they have feet.
you have feet.
You do have feet.
They love to eat, and now they play golf. Is there a more, like, better being tailored for me?
No.
No, you're not a man. That's for sure.
that's
You're not a normal
100%.
man.
Definitely not an elf.
No, they're too cool.
No, you're not really an orc, because
They would be cool. We're so far off topic, but jumping ahead to orcs. I brought up the conversation. How much would it cost to make an orc army?
I don't know why you're so infatuated with this
I
question.
want to build one.
it would be so. We can't even do it yet.
For what purpose?
World domination.
I mean, I guess that's what you'd use them for.
But like, wouldn't they be? Because not trying to be Lord of the Rings racist here, but they are much easier to control than any other race,
Yeah.
species, whatever you want to call it. So I can just boss them around. They look awesome.
True.
But the thing is, they're also evil.
Don't care.
So they're treacherous.
I'm using them for evil purposes.
Which means that they will try to overthrow you if they can.
But they won't.
If you prove that, if you prove yourself to be weaker than them, they will kill you and
They
take
know
your
I'm
place.
not. They know I'm not weaker.
Oh, okay.
But like, so you say world domination, but okay, let's dive into this idea a little bit deeper, okay? So say, you're here in rural Indiana and you decide to start an orc army, right? You secure the funds.
Wouldn't be hard.
Probably not.
You start a GoFundMe and you say, I wanna take over the world with an orc army and I need money to start experimenting. You get billions of dollars. You start developing your army. What do you attack first?
Australia.
That doesn't make any sense.
That strategically, that is such a flawed move. How'd you get them there?
We took a boat. We bought an old aircraft carrier from the army, and we boated over there. And now it's hard to get on Australia because it's ran by orcs.
Oh, I see.
The whole combat.
The whole thing, because they're just reproducing with each other and making more orcs until the time has come for us to take over mainland Asia.
That kind of actually makes sense. It's already industrialized.
It's like in Risk, you know, when
when you corner Australia, I see the logic.
Yeah, that's why you go to Australia first.
Yeah,
Because you get the continent bonus.
It is the best continent bonus because you only have to get 4, and there's only one entrance.
Yeah.
You can
Vietnam.
just stack orcs at Vietnam.
Yeah.
They're in the trees.
No, orcs would be like the perfect. I mean, they burn down forests and trees anyways in the movie.
So now,
So, like, that's-
whose idea is looking stupid?
Still yours, but
It's looking less stupid though.
you're starting to make a lot more sense. If you gave me, say, a plan of how you were going to create life, per se, right?
Okay.
And then mass produce that life into a form of an army, unbridled by the restrictions put in place by the government or the country that you live in. Well,
I'll start a new Chaz.
Yeah,
Chaz.
You can start an autonomous zone where all you do is produce orcs.
Yeah, so I was thinking, like, this is probably immoral, but, like, once we figure out how to clone humans, then I'll just introduce them to a bunch of radiation, and then we make them into orcs.
Well, I mean, the way that orcs are made in Lord of the Rings, canon, is like the really big bad guy who's not even Sauron. It's like Sauron's boss, Morgoth.
Boss baby.
That's how you should picture him. Morgoth captures some elves and basically throws them in a dungeon and like breeds them into orcs.
That's kind of awesome.
That's how they're made. They just like he just like genetically selectively breeds them until they become orcs.
So to continue the plot, we got a little off topic. So to continue the plot, I think we're at the Shire.
Oh yeah. So
we haven't even been introduced to a character yet.
Not quite. We're almost there.
Just real opening statements.
Yeah. We'll try. Pierce and I, while you explain the plot, Pierce and I will try to not interrupt.
Okay. So we open on the Shire and Bilbo Baggins is kind of narrating. And Bilbo is a hobbit. He was the protagonist of The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. It was his first book.
Why would you whisper that?
What did you say?
Because he didn't write it.
I was his ghostwriter.
So it opens with
J.R.R. Tolkien was Dexter Durant. Jacob's gonna.
Do you want me to do this?
Top 10 people to survive the apocalypse.
Oh, my chest hurts. Okay, we got Nathaniel. Please continue.
What's the point? He's just gonna be laughing. Okay. I'm gonna continue. So, Bilbo is narrating, and he is writing There and Back Again, which is a story of his adventures from The Hobbit. And he hears a knock at the door, and he says, "Frodo, go get that." But Frodo isn't at home. So he keeps on talking about the Shire and telling us all about hobbits. And finally, after this kind of background is set, this beautiful agrarian idyllic atmosphere, we cut to Frodo, who's reading under a tree. And he sees this guy, Frodo hears this guy singing on the road, and it's Gandalf, the wizard. Gandalf is coming into town because they're about to celebrate Bilbo's 111th birthday. And so Frodo goes over to Gandalf and he says, "Hey Gandalf, how's it going?" Actually, that's not what he says. They talk and they have some fun times and they get to Bilbo's house. And there's this cool meetup and everything's great. And basically from there, it goes on. There's some more plot things, some more minor characters you meet. And then they have the birthday party. And at the birthday party, you meet Merry and Pippin, and they fire off a firework, and then Gandalf gets mad at them and makes them do dishes. And then you meet Sam.
Sam is literally the best character in all of these by far.
Yeah. He starts out as just being Frodo's gardener. Technically Bilbo's gardener. He just kind of trims the flowers at Bag End, which is his house. And he just lives a chill life. Just a calm life.
Yeah, no, Sam is like probably one of the best characters. I would say I'm really biased here, right? And I'm fully prepared to admit that. But I think Sam might be one of the best characters in all of literature.
I love Sam.
Or I shouldn't say all of literature, because like literature is a big term and like lots of cool books, and Lord of the Rings probably isn't that high on the book list in terms of all of literature. I mean it might be. It's really good.
I like Sam.
But I love Sam.
He belongs on r/Jonker.
Stop.
He's a good guy. He's like, I don't know. He's really loyal, which is like, very appealing in a character, especially in like a situation like they're going through. I think that's why he's so likable.
And I really love like how Sam is introduced into like the whole, what would you say, like the quest in like this movie, the adventure. I like it a lot more in the movie than it is in the book. I think it makes more sense in the movie almost. Because in the book, basically, when Gandalf finds Sam like peeping outside the window and yanks him in and says, "Hey boys, you gotta go on an adventure to save all of Middle-earth," it takes him like a pretty long time to like leave.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense, kind of, because, I mean, there is a lot of planning that has to go into a trip like that. especially in like times like these when you couldn't just hop on a plane and fly over to Rivendell. Like you gotta walk. So I kind of get it, and I get that there's a lot that needs to go into place, but I really like the urgency in this movie. Like, pull Sam in. He starts yelling at Sam. Gandalf is an all-time yeller in this movie, like insulting people.
It's
and
wonderful.
then he's just like, "Boys, you gotta go like right now." The horse with concurrent bloody hooves that the blood never drives is after you, and you're gonna die if you stay here like 1 second later. I dig it.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, basically, Bilbo's this whole time has had the Ring of Power, the ring that that'll give Sauron all of his like powers once more, and nobody knew it. Nobody knew that he had it. But Gandalf figures it out, and so he gets Bilbo to leave and go to Rivendell because Bilbo is kind of getting bored of staying in the Shire. Which, how could you never? But he goes to Rivendell, and then the ring goes to Frodo, and Gandalf kind of goes around, does some digging, figures out that it is the One Ring, confirms it, and then tells Frodo that he must take the ring at least as far as Rivendell, so that then it can go from there all the way to Mordor, to Mount Doom, so that it can be thrown into the flames there and be destroyed. And that's like the impetus, and like Pierce said, Sam is just kind of eavesdropping that whole conversation, and is like yanked inside by Gandalf. And he's like, "All right, well, looks like you're gonna have to go with Frodo."
I think we should really dive into something on this podcast right now, and that's kind of the Ring of Power, because I don't think, without reading the books and without actually like diving into the lore behind the ring, people don't realize how powerful the ring actually is. Because I know, like, in the movie, it's a glorified invisibility cloak.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the invisibility cloak with extra steps.
Mm-hmm.
In a way. But it's so much, like, more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, its power can only be harnessed by someone who actually, has the ability to use it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, but the rings of power have the ability to grant power, those who use them, especially if their users are powerful, the ability to dominate the wills of others, to bend other people to their wills. That's how Sauron controls all of the orc armies. He can control them even without the ring, but with the ring, he can not only control the orcs, but the rest of Middle-earth just through sheer willpower. And the reason why they were able to resist before is because the people who fought against him, some of them, especially the elves, had their own rings of power that gave them some ability to resist Sauron's grasp. But obviously not all creatures were powerful enough to resist that, right? So the dwarves, the rings didn't really work on the dwarves. Sauron wasn't really able to control them because, before all this happened, more than just the Ring of Power was made. They also made 9 rings for men, 7 for dwarves, and 3 for elves. None for hobbits. Hobbits don't need them, I guess. So basically, the dwarves didn't really respond well to being mind controlled. It just didn't work on them. And the elves were too powerful. Like they couldn't be, their wills could not be curbed by Sauron. But the men were easily overtaken. And after they died, they became the Nazguls that you see in the movie and in the books, of course. The Dark Riders who are cloaked and spiritual. Yeah.
They're really cool. Their horses are really cool.
Jacob has a real thing for black horses, we found.
Yeah.
During this watch time.
They're way cooler than white horses. Do white horses have wet blood on them all the time?
Well, I mean, they could if they
Nope.
stepped in a carcass.
Nope. They don't. And they're dead to me.
Well, the Lord of Horses in Lord of the Rings is a pure white horse.
So, before we get off topic again, I've been hired for no money to rush the plot as I am the king at it.
It's true.
I deserve a crown. Anyway, yeah, so next they get tracked down. Well, let's talk about they pick up a guy who's pretty cool. Was his something? Aragorn?
Aragorn?
Yeah.
Arrow something.
I mean, they just call him Strider at first.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, I haven't read the books. I'm going to this summer, I think. And the past has shown I might be the worst person with names ever. So
we'll feed him to you.
Most people will be called whatever they choose to be. You know? This is my retelling, not yours. Get out of it. So they pick up the guy with long hair who's pretty. I forgot his name already.
Aragorn.
Okay. And they're like, all right, let's hustle. So they go to Rivendell. Is that right?
Yeah.
Which is where some elves are.
Correct.
And they have a nice little meeting. The dwarves, who are cool. They have the cool character Gimli, right? He's a G.
He is. He gets angry. He has an axe.
He has good hair too, and a great beard.
All of them do.
Yeah, and then they also have some elves there, like Legolas.
That's right.
And yeah,
they try to figure out what to do about the ring.
Yeah,
at the meeting.
And then they yell at each other, and Frodo's like, "I'll go to Mordor, and I'll throw it in the flames."
Badass.
And they were like, "All right."
And then a few of them are like,
"Let's have a fellowship," which is a stupid name. Why don't they have the Gang of the Ring? The Gaggle.
the great Gaggle of the Ring.
The crew.
I don't like the crew.
I do.
I don't like the crew.
Anything but the Fellowship.
Dude, Fellowship sounds
What is
awesome.
this, Middle Earth? Yeah, so they're like, all right, let's go.
Should we say who all is in the Fellowship?
Gimli?
Do you know their names?
No. Gimli, Lego,
It's Legolas.
Ron.
No.
Ron. Are you talking about Peregrine?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
his brother.
They're not brothers. Okay. It's like
Frodo.
Like friend.
I don't know.
There's three more. No, there's four more. Name them off. You got has the staff.
Gandalf, Sam.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so there's five more actually.
Aragorn.
Good.
I'm out after that.
You got Boromir and you got Gimli the dwarf.
Boromir was in Game of Thrones.
Boromir was not in Game of Thrones. The actor was.
Oh, yeah. You know, you jackwagon. Yeah. So there's the gaggle of friends.
Uh-huh.
They're heading out, and they're like, "All right, let's go somewhere else."
We're going to Mordor.
Which is like hell.
Pretty much.
Look at that, Jacob's smart. And then, yeah, so they run into some shenanigans on the way.
It's true.
They go into that place where they find like the elf goddess.
Whoa, you really skipped a lot.
What did I skip?
You skipped
Oh, we've got the whole castle thing.
Yeah. Also, so I want to talk about one scene first. When the gaggle of friends first go off, they stop on this hill to look awesome. It's that shot where the main theme plays, and then each of them walk past looking really sexy and serious. And then they stop at the hill, and I really love this part of the movie for two reasons. One, Legolas gets really afraid of a bunch of birds. And I think that that's hilarious. I love that detail, how they use the birds as spies in this movie. What an all-time idea. It's like birds are spies. We've kind of came back to that in our society now,
Birds
right?
aren't real.
Birds aren't real.
Birds
You've
aren't
seen
real.
I've worn the shirt on the podcast. Birds aren't real. They're spies by the government. Did this movie start that trend, or did this movie already know? Is Peter Jackson a little bit ahead of his time?
He's a member of the Deep State.
Well, and that's in the book too.
Is J.R.R. Tolkien?
J.R. Tolkien, he's definitely a member of the Deep State.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. He knew.
Yeah.
He knew. He knew from the beginning.
Yeah.
The other reason I really like that part of the movie is just they all look so goddamn sexy. Every one of those beautiful men are out there showing their stuff. And it's like Aragorn is looking like a full snack. Legolas is perched up in like the best pose. It's just great. It's a whole bunch of beautiful people. And I love it.
So then they go to this castle.
You mean the Mines of Moria?
Yep.
They try to cross a mountain, but there's a storm, and they have to go through the underground mines.
The castle.
Oh, wait, we forgot an awesome part of the movie, guys. In Jacob's hasty retelling, which, let me tell you, Jacob, you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
You're doing a great
I'm
job.
struggling with names.
So during all this, the reason why Gandalf wasn't going with him on the journey is because he visited his buddy Saruman, but it turns out Saruman was bad. He was in league with the Dark Lord, and he trapped Gandalf on top of his big tower. And so, to escape, Gandalf whispered to a moth some words, and then sent the moth away. And then, later on, when Gandalf was being tortured by Saruman, the moth came back, and then a giant eagle flew in and saved Gandalf. So apparently the moth told the eagle that he needed help.
Yeah, the reason I really like this scene and why I wanted to bring back to it is because when we were watching the movie, I made a comment and I was like, well, this is kind of a weird part of the movie. Like, Gandalf is just whispering to a moth. And I look at Nathaniel and he just looks at me like wide-eyed and he's like, the moth is going to tell the eagle.
It's true.
It's true. He's not wrong.
All the things that fly can talk to each other.
Is that the lore?
I don't know.
The moth and the eagle share the breath of the wind.
Actually, maybe it is kind of the part of the lore. Because there is like
That's stupid.
a lesser god of the sky and wind. He's like the king of the lesser gods in Middle Earth. So like all the eagles serve him. So whenever they're anywhere, it's because he sends them.
Okay, so to continue our little plot summary, next they go into the castle, which Nathaniel says is a mine, but I don't buy it.
It's literally underground.
Castle's gonna be inside.
No.
I'm a little slap happy. I apologize. The next day they go there and they find some treasure. Treasure's friendship.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
They're doing good. They find a book. They give it a read.
They figure out that all the dwarves who were there that Gimli thought were going to be there to help them
Are dead.
Killed
So
by
one of the dummies, who's a hobbit,
Pippin.
yeah, he knocks a
Ron.
yeah, Ron hits a bucket down a well, and they're like L, and then that rings the dinner bell. They say, who dinner time? Is it dinner time?
It's true.
And so the orcs come hustling, and the crew is there, the gaggle of friends to fight off the wild orcs. So they do somewhat until a large fire thingy appears, and he's like, "Hey."
The fire thing doesn't say anything.
No, he does.
Oh, right.
He speaks sign language. Not ASL, it's ESL. Elvish sign language.
He's not even an elf. He's talking about the Balrog.
What?
You're talking about the Balrog.
Yeah,
ESL. Oh my gosh.
Elvish sign language. So, him and Gandalf are communicating. Yeah. And, so then there's that really good scene where Gandalf says, "You shall not pass." And he slams his staff down.
On the bridge.
Yeah, and then the fire thing falls. And then he throws his laser whip up that he stole from Anakin Skywalker in Clone Wars and grabs on to Gandalf. And this is when Pierce says a funny joke. Would you like to go ahead and say it?
Yeah, this whole time I've been hyping these people up that I've got the greatest joke of all time, and I can only say it when Gandalf is holding on for dear life on the bridge. Now, just to give you a taste of that hype, this joke might be my magnum opus. If any of you at Netflix are watching and, want to give me a comedy special, listen, I drive a hard bargain, but you can give me an email and we can try to work something out. But here's the thing. So Gandalf is holding on with two hands, and he looks at Frodo, and Frodo goes, Gandalf! And then it cuts back to Gandalf, and there's a split second, right, where Gandalf is just looking in fear. And that's when I utter the words, me, when birds are on the road and they won't move. And then Gandalf looks at Frodo and goes, fly, you fools!
Man, it was funny.
Everyone laughed.
All three of us.
All three of us.
Yeah, this is a little bit off topic, but speaking of Netflix, I just had a good business idea for them. They should start investing in like video podcasts.
That actually would be a good idea for Netflix. Having like a podcast exclusive to Netflix.
Yeah,
I bet that would actually make bank.
Netflix?
like Spotify does.
Yeah, Netflix? Hey, Netflix. Hey,
Just imagine.
Hey,
if we were
Netflix?
hey, Netflix.
What's up?
business inquiries. No, that'd be cool. I'm sure they pay a lot.
Yeah, Netflix, if you're looking at this and you're like, wow, that is a good idea, you can head over to our About tab on our YouTube channel, and there's a business email there. Just slide in. I mean,
Thoughts from the roundtable at gmail.com.
worst thing that can happen is we say no.
Yeah, it's kind of the way it's going. I think it could work.
Well, maybe we could be the first.
Who knows?
Who knows?
They probably would censor us a lot.
We don't say anything bad.
Never once said anything bad on this podcast.
No.
And don't check. Don't check.
No, especially our Indiana Jones one.
Don't even click on the Indiana Jones. Just trust me when I say that I definitely don't glorify the sexual assault of women on accident. I don't do that. That's not something that happened. And if it did happen, on the off chance that maybe it happened, it was by complete accident and a blunder in my words. And if that were to have happened, I would have made that perfectly clear in the podcast. I don't hate women, theoretically, if this was a thing that happened.
To continue our plot, after a little bit of a sidetrack, is Gandalf dies, and the fellowship is down one fella.
Right.
So now the Gaggle is running on Ron, and the other his brother, and Frodo, and Bilbo, and Aragorn. Okay? No, I'm a little slap happy.
Hey, you can.
So
they're just down a member.
What happened next?
That's when they go to the forest.
That's when they go to the forest and find the elf goddess.
Right.
And they get a bunch of presents.
Yeah, her name's Galadriel. Frodo offers her the ring, and she says, "You shouldn't offer that to me, otherwise I will become
a demon.
A demon just as powerful as Sauron, except me."
Yeah, she puts on a weird Snapchat filter. Frodo gets very scared.
Who wouldn't?
Dude, if some woman like shapeshift into that,
I'd
be terrified.
Went like negative. Isn't that the filter? It's like negative.
Yeah.
Imagine if like people had like a superpower where like your whole thing was you could change into Snapchat filters.
It'd be the stupidest power ever.
And the most horrifying.
What would you even do with that?
You just run around with dog ears all the time.
I'd like to think that it's just people, the only reason they would do it is to take selfies on other apps besides Snapchat. So they just pull out like their phone and be like, take a picture, and then like their face shape shifts into the dog.
I don't know. I think that'd be kind of a cool thing. Think of that for your license. Like you're getting your license and you just put the dog one on real quick.
So to continue the plot, the Gaggle of friends is now down a member, like Jacob said, and they've met the elf goddess. We find out that Gimli is a simp and he wants her hair, which is a really sweet gift, genuinely, and is played on as a sweet gift, and in the book is a sweet gift. But in today's, like, probably the last 3 months of meme culture, Gimli's a simp.
Yeah.
Anyways, they get these boats, and there's a really cool boat fact Jacob told me, and it's like the hobbits don't actually boat very well because they're hobbits, which sounds a lot cooler when Jacob said it to me the first time,
Yeah,
but
so
a
like
little bit weaker now.
you know how hobbits never really boated because it's not part of their. Nathaniel
Mm.
kind of explained it. You know,
Yeah, most of them.
they didn't really
didn't do
adapt with boating, but like Legolas and Aragon or whatever his name is, they were like trained to do whatever, and so they knew they were actually rowing with technique and whatnot. But when you see like Frodo in the boat at the end with him and Sam, they don't like row in the correct way.
It's another cool detail.
Oh, I forgot one detail that I saw just a couple minutes ago. That the scene with Gandalf, it was like he was talking to a ping pong ball.
When he was trying to talk to the Balrog.
Yeah, because that's what they used to like make it like it was there.
That's very. I'd love to see the unedited footage of him just screaming, "You shall not pass" at a ping pong ball.
That'd be awesome.
So, moving on, they boat for a little bit. They see these awesome, cool statues with their hands out. It's dope. It's super cool looking. They make beach. What's the word for that? They make landing.
Yeah, that works.
They beach the boats.
Yeah, that works.
They beach the boats at a little place, and we get a little bit of internal dialogue between the group, and it actually fleshes out a lot of the group really well. There's some dialogue between Aragorn and Boromir about Gondor, which is, I think, really important, and I don't think it's in the actual theatrical release.
No, it's not.
But it adds a lot to the movie, and it talks about how Aragorn is kind of apprehensive to take the ring towards Gondor, probably because the hearts of men are so easily corrupt, as we see with Boromir later in the movie. And Boromir's like, "Bruh, let's take this shit to Gondor." And Aragorn's like, "Nuh-uh, we're not doing it, not while I'm leading the group." And Boromir gets pouty, which actually kind of sets the scene for why Boromir wants to take the ring for Frodo later down the line. They boat for another day, and then they make beach again. And this time, things are getting real. Back in Isengard, which is the place, if you're picturing this, it's the ginormous black, erect statue. Kind of a phallic symbol. Just kind of like a big black dick in the middle of a bunch of worker bees. And Sauron is at the top, the tip of the penis, and he's saying, he's talking to his Uruk-hai captain and says, "Take your boys and get me some hobbits." And he's like, "I am Uruk-hai. I shall go now." And he goes. And the Uruk-hai, which are basically like the special ops of the orcs, basically the Marines of the orcs. These boys, certified badasses. So they're tracking some hobbits, and the two forces are about to collide. Boromir, heated, goes out in the woods to get sticks for the fire. Frodo's like, "I'm gonna go out into the woods to think for a minute because I think I might want to sneak off a little bit. These chodes are kind of getting on my nerves, and I'm about done." So he goes out to a statue to think, and Boromir sees him, and he's like, "Yo, Frodo, my man, how about we go to Gondor?" And Frodo's like, "Bruh, I heard you and Aragorn talking. This ain't gonna happen." And Boromir kind of flips shit, and it starts to attack Frodo. Frodo uses the ring and slips away. Now, Boromir is kind of distraught over this fact because he totally lost control and did exactly what he tried so hard not to do and got corrupted by the ring. Frodo meets Aragorn, and Aragorn's like, "Hey Frodo, where you going?" And Frodo's like, "Don't get near me," because he's a little bit afraid after his last encounter with Big Daddy Boromir.
Right.
But then Aragorn is actually a beautiful man, a beautiful, sexy human, and he kneels down and says, "I would have gone with you to the end. Now scurry off." Then the Uruk-hai are here. Enter badass battle mode, right? So Aragorn takes on like about a bajillion of them at once and slays them all, and it's awesome. And he does this cool trick where he like takes one of their heads and plunges it into a tree. Dope. The whole fight scene in this is freaking fantastic. Legolas is shooting a bunch of arrows like crazy mad and hitting all his targets. I love watching arrows fly in these movies. They have a really satisfying sound. Makes me happy, gets me going. Then we see Boromir kind of redeem himself. He's fighting to protect Merry and Pippin, as Jacob so aptly named him. Ron and his brother. Ron and his brother are pretty weak fighters. They're kind of just throwing rocks. And Nathaniel mentioned this.
Yeah.
Ungodly aim.
Yeah, hobbits, one of the other random, like, apparently genetic, like, traits that they have is that they are just extremely good at throwing rocks. They are extremely accurate.
What a useless, like, skill to just have. Like,
unless there's an orc running at you and you have a rock.
True.
Which is what happens. They
But
actually take out a lot.
Or if you want to break some windows.
That too.
To steal carrots, perhaps?
And mushrooms.
And mushrooms.
They eat so much.
They are,
So much.
they're hungry, which is fine.
I'm always hungry.
Jacob's a hobbit. We've kind of accepted this fact. So they fight. Boromir is got 2 arrows in him, 3 arrows in him, 4 arrows in him. I don't remember how many arrows. I think it was 4. Probably 4. 3 or 4. 3 arrows in him. And then the hobbits get taken. The big, scary Uruk-hai, Daddy's pet, Sauron's favorite boy, was standing over him and about ready to execute him, which is actually really interesting in the whole like line of things, because this orc didn't go with the pack. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like the mission was to get the hobbits, and the other boys just like grabbed hobbits and they're like, time to go, goodbye now. But yeah, no, so that's actually really interesting because it shows that this orc had a little bit of like individuality and actually was a little bit meaner, wanted to stand there and actually execute and finish the job. And then Aragorn comes in, beats his ass, and basically that's the real end of the movie. There's a beautiful scene at the very end that makes me tear up every time. This time, no exception. I did tear up, and it shows Frodo standing off looking with a little tear running, or 2 tears actually running down his face, and it flashes back to Gandalf saying the most wonderful quote, I think, probably in the entire movie. And that's, I wish I had it, like, off the top of my head. But the gist is you can't, like, what is it?
We can't choose the time that we're placed in. You know, most people dislike the times that they are placed in. But what you can change and what you can choose is what you do with the time you're given.
Yeah, an absolutely beautiful quote.
Mm.
And as he's standing there crying, he decides that, you know what, I'm going to do something great with the time that I'm given. And I'm going to take the ring to Mordor and I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to have to do that alone because that's my task. He gets in the boat, starts rowing. Sam, the king, the legend, the most beautiful of the boys. He comes out and he says, "No, Frodo, my friend, my Gaggle, we must go together." And Frodo's like, "No, stay there." And Sam's like, "You know what? I'd rather drown than live a day without you." And he jumps in the water and starts drowning, baby. He starts drowning.
Because he cannot swim.
He can't swim.
He can't swim.
And Frodo plunges his arm down into the water. There's a beautiful shot of hands grasping hands and ripping Sam up. And Sam's lapping like a wet dog. And he's like, "Not without me, Mr. Frodo. Not without me."
Good scene.
Beautiful scene.
Yeah, and then you just got a little bit more to finish up. Like, Frodo and Sam start going off on their own adventure, and Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn
go to rescue Ron and his brother.
Yeah, they go to rescue
Ron and his brother.
But not before sending Boromir off the edge of the waterfall in a hero's burial.
Which I think we should bring back. Sending people over waterfalls.
yeah.
We'd have to get more waterfalls.
Everyone
And more
goes to
boats.
everyone goes to Niagara Falls.
Dude,
get-
Niagara Falls is beautiful.
It would the rivers of New York would be clogged
with
with
bodies.
bodies. But it would
And
be
boats.
Yeah.
Only like 4 people die a day though.
I think that number is quite higher. You know?
6?
How many people do die a day when you think about it in America?
It's like a person dies every 10 seconds, I think.
What?
In the world.
Mm.
In the world.
In America, though, like
Okay.
every
How
10
many
minutes, maybe?
people die
I think
in
it's even sooner
America
than that.
every
Because
day?
like, it's like people are born every 10 or people die every 10 seconds, but are born every 7.
That is. So we're still increasing.
Yeah.
So in the
We're ahead of
time
the
it
curve.
takes that you sat through this podcast and listened to it, how many people have died? Holy.
This one says nearly 150,000 people die a day around the world.
Around the world. Okay.
That's crazy.
And most of them just from like disease or old age.
Well, yeah.
Approximately 7,452 people die every day.
Probably just in the U.S.
Yeah, that's in the U.S.
So I guess, it wouldn't be too clogged.
Let me
Well,
look how many.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, it'd be really clogged.
Yeah.
It'd be really clogged.
7,000 boats and bodies every day in Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo.
Approximately 5 people die a minute.
That's. What?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Just in America.
Which actually is not far off 10 seconds. Every
Yeah.
10 seconds.
What the heck,
It's every
dude?
12 seconds.
Listen, guys, if you've
Kinda
watched
neat.
this, there's like a, probably 0.1% chance your grandpa is dead.
It's a much smaller chance.
Call your grandpa.
I mean, it could have happened.
If that happened, I would feel terrible.
Why?
Imagine they're sitting here watching us talk about Ron and his brother, and then their grandpa is dead. He's gone. If your grandpa died while watching this video, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe.
What if one of our grandpas died when we were recording this?
I'd have to like the video.
I guess I would too.
Well,
That's always fun to think about.
it's always fun to think
But-
about.
But yeah, Lord of the Rings, great beginning to the rest of the movies franchise, and has some great themes, which I think would be better to discuss later or at the end, because there's a lot of themes that come with like the One Ring and themes of friendship and fellowship and
Gaggle.
yeah. I mean,
Can we turn gaggle into a verb?
how?
In what context would you use that?
Let's gaggle. Let's group up.
I guess.
Let's link up.
I mean, I guess you got like congregate.
Yeah, sure. I think
Let's
we can
gaggle.
Let's gaggle.
Okay, let's gaggle.
So, as a gaggle of boys right here, right now,
Right.
and Nathaniel, I'm not sure if you know this, but the way we do these rewatch series is we like to talk about if these movies have aged well from when we watched them when they came out. I don't think this is going to be a long discussion.
No.
No.
This movie is probably one of the best movies of all time,
Yeah.
in every sense of the word. It's beautifully shot. The themes ring true forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not like anything outdated. It's not like Indiana Jones where he literally rapes a woman. This has got none of that. It's beautiful all the way through, from the dialogue to the way it's shot to the action to everything. And I think it's pretty clear it aged well.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the effects you could like criticize. I mean, like when Galadriel goes, full filter mode, like it, we could do a better job of that now. But like even so, the story is unaffected, and it's the story that really counts, right? Like it's still such a beautiful, beautiful movie, and such like a beautiful, beautiful, original story and book. It's truly like remarkable how Tolkien was able to write something so timeless and so like relevant always to us, something that you could learn from forever.
I would agree. I think it's relevant. And if you think that our opinions are stupid, why don't you listen to the 12 nominees it got in 2002 for the Oscars? It was the winner of Best Original Music Score. Agree.
Deserves it.
Best Cinematography. Agree.
Agree.
Best Visual Effects. Agree.
Agree.
Yeah.
Best Makeup and Hairstyling. Agree.
Yeah.
It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor, which was Ian McKellen,
Yeah.
Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay. I'm surprised it didn't win that one. Best Production Design, Best Sound Mixing, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing. The Best Picture for 2002 was A Beautiful Mind, which I've never heard of. Yeah, I don't know how this one's aged well. This is like still now considered to be like whether you're an artsy film person or like us, where you like watching movies that are entertaining. It's still either side considers it to be one of the best ever.
It's a good use of 4 hours.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, even the extended editions, like, they add so much. Even if a lot of it's just dialogue. Like, it's just interesting. It doesn't stop being interesting.
All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that episode of Thoughts from the Round Table. It's kind of long, I think.
Yeah.
What are we at right now?
Right now, without editing, we are at 105.
105. So probably around like a 50-minute podcast. Pretty good.
Yeah.
So if you got through it so far, please leave a like, subscribe. We've got links below in the description.
Yep.
For all of our crap.
Our Twitter, our Instagram, if you're on YouTube, it'll direct you to podcast apps. If you're on podcast apps, it'll direct you to YouTube.
Thanks you once again, Nathaniel, for coming on and explaining some of the more thingies.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what I call it.
There's, like, finer bits.
Details.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me. I really love discussing Lord of the Rings. So
Yeah.
It's really great.
I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening again, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.